Welcome back. This is Friendly Cat to our latest Fascist Ethiopia episode. The last episode we had driven off Italy as part of our War of Independence, and this episode, after nearly 4 years of localized fighting, we will be expanding out, taking on those UK colonizers. And because we happen to have claims on our nearby lands, we're going to be able to do a relatively fast 10-day justification on the Blue Nile, so we'll be able to get a little bit of a surprise attack going on UK. We'll be attacking toward the east, and that secures that state. It's also a port that's very close to our cores, and it's really not too hard because of that fast 10-day justification. The UK hasn't had much time to put troops out. We'll also be racing to the north with these green motorized scout. They're supported by blue support 24 with infantry, and then red assault 27 with 3 battalions of artillery. They should be able to race pretty quickly. Our 4th motorized is going to try to race south to cut off that single province down there. If they can seal that off, then they're going to be relatively close to moving into South Africa, which is the closest place with factories. And last but not least, we're heading west. Oh, looks like we caught 2 medium tank divisions. West may not seem very valuable, but it has cores that will increase our population, and also it has British troops. Unsurprisingly, we're able to take that port pretty easily. Britain has been busy fighting wars in many different countries in different areas, so I don't expect too much fighting from Great Britain. Heading north, this is a really straightforward attack pattern. We have the assault division. They're going to clear that single port, even though it's a division on a mountain tile, while the motorized runs around to do the encirclement and then heads north. Now, earlier on, we had a focus that we took that would give us claims, but it also allows us to core states that we control. I think it's maybe 20 million worth of cores. It's 20 political power, takes 30 days, and when we record them all, we can take another 20 political power to proclaim East African unity. Doesn't give anything, just changes our tag a little bit. That's alright though, we like the manpower and it's pretty cool. Well, we're unable to race to the south, we got cut off, so we'll have to let those kind of British troops escape away to South Africa, and we'll take care of it when we can. As we head north, again, motorized, we're just racing through those desert tiles, and here we have a little bit of encirclement. A few British troops did manage to head south, and since they're in desert, our assault troops will have no problem cleaning them up. That southern tile is now open, so now we can seal off. Now, any British troops caught to the west of our lines is now effectively sealed off and will eventually be destroyed because they are at war with France, and Belgium is neutral, so no problem there. After standardized tactical training focus, we're going to take the last of our real offensive focuses for a while, Junior Officer Corps, which gives us a lot of cool things, including lets us start taking our superior firepower land doctrines. Racing north, that got a little foolish of me to get one of our motorized divisions caught on the other side of the river, but no big deal. Assault divisions quickly come to clean it up. And so far, again, pretty light fighting. We take the Suez and Port Said, and now we're going to start racing up toward the northeast. The last we see of these 2 medium tank divisions, they got caught, encircled, out of fuel, nowhere to go, and sealed off. So it won't take too long before we take care of them. Too easy. Our attack to the north continues to move pretty smoothly. Not a lot of troops, but it looks like I see some fighting on the horizon. Britain, again, has been fighting other troops. Once we take port, if you don't see any supply for it, do check the naval zone. You might have red zoned it off so that you can't get any supplies through. This is an important little area. It's a gap on the way to South Africa, so we need to both control it and then actually build a railway. If you're the Allies, I think you get supply through Belgium, but if you don't, then you actually have to build a railway to control those provinces, and unfortunately, because there's someone there, it's going to be a while before we get that taken care of. Our first combat with France, so quick we're able to push them right out of their tile. I don't think they've seen anything like us, and the last of the British remnants are fighting over here too in a circle. We continue to push on through to Damascus. Again, Not too difficult. These are full strength units, but I've got supply, and we've got these 27 width assault units, and they are Ethiopian with all of their bonuses. Look at the French troops. They're fighting very well on Beirut, and it is a mountain tile, but they're encircled. And with a little bit of careful control of which divisions go in, we can make sure we send in just enough to come under the combat width for maximum damage to take care of Beirut with as minimal losses as possible. But they still fight very well. They seem to be clustered in a little bit, so our racing scout motorized divisions are able to do a little bit of encirclement, and that's actually pretty cool because those are several French units, and if we can capture them there, then it's going to be that much easier to move on to Iraq. And finally, some cavalry, they managed to get around that British unit. That was going to give me a hard time. Low supply in a mountainous terrain, so we're just one tile away from that supply depot, and then once we clear the British unit, we can build that railway. And there we are, finishing up the last of the French units, which leaves us really just Iraq units, and they aren't going to really do that much. We are going to keep some troops to the west. There just isn't enough supply, so there's no reason to just hoard units on that front line and watch them attrition out. We're suffering from enough attrition as it is. As we move east, notice we're starting to use more and more 6 width cavalry. If we don't have supply, then there's really no purpose of running motorized, mindlessly through, because they'll just run out of fuel. Unfortunately, the Iraqi units moved north and cleared the zone for motorized that did have fuel to race through Baghdad, so we can finally get that capitulation on Iraq. Well done, folks. Well done, my troops. And after we capitulate Iraq, we should be able to swiftly move into Iran. But let's not forget to justify on Saudi Arabia. More factories is more factories, and at this point our army is large enough that our supply hubs really can't support them, so we can actually start branching off and heading into other countries. And Saudi Arabia is a great place to start, and it helps to be fastest for that fast justification time. Alright, Iraq capitulated, but it looks like they capitulated to the British, maybe because they did more combat damage earlier in the war. No big deal. We'll race around, we'll take those tiles. And we're now heading into Iran, which, like Iraq, doesn't have a lot of troops to defend themselves. So we'll just be careful, be cautious, move around. We definitely don't want to get encircled. Let's not make foolish actions. We're going to use those cavalry because, again, of the fuel situation. Now that we have that province, we can finally connect the railway. It's mildly frustrated that there isn't a railway direct connection through UK land, but that's alright. We'll take care of it. Until we have that supply hub connected, though, we're not going anywhere near South Africa. Iran, on the other hand, that's not going to be too hard. We've got a 12 width cavalry headed in. After all, we're heading in from the west and UK from the east, so Iran really can't put up much of a fight against us. Thankfully, when they capitulated, they go to ours instead of UK, I guess because we took over most of their land. So we can also contest our estates to the west. May not seem like a lot of sense, but those are our cores, and even though we have 1 million manpower, we will be using up that manpower. Now, Britain does control that little port. It's on a mountain tile, it's across a river, so it's going to be very difficult to cross into and take it out, but we will work on it. We're also going to strategically redeploy around to try to keep those British troops and any other allied troops spread out and not on the port. Attacking through Saudi Arabia, this is a battlefield that was made for our army. Or maybe our army was made for this battlefield. We're quick, we're fast, we overpower. There are some supply hubs. There's also supply along the ports, so our motorized divisions can swiftly run right through. Now it looks like Japan's gotten into another war. With the Junior Officer Corps focus complete, we will now be headed down toward our 4th focus slot. It's a long way away, but we're going to get there focus by focus. Destroying, or I should say capitulating Saudi Arabia brings them to the peace conference. They chose not to join the Allies or the Italian faction, so that's pretty cool. We're finishing justification on Yemen. That shouldn't be too bad. Well, that pretty much brings this episode to an end. A lot of fun, a lot of adventure. We're now exploding out and just doing a really good job, I think. We're still pinned into South Africa, heading to our south. We're going to be heading into India if we can, and we'll see what happens in the next episode. Thank you very much for watching.